Reading through the New Testament, this is Matthew chapter 4. It says, Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And the tempter came and said to him, If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. But he answered, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him on the pinnacle of that temple and said to him, If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, and lest you strike your foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, Again, it is written, You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, All these I will give you if you will fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, Be gone, Satan, for it is written, You shall not worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and were ministering to him. So let's just start where it says that Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Why in the world would God do that? So if we didn't have this story, there would be a lot of talk about, like, did Jesus actually sin? How do we actually know that he is who you say he is? And there are many different signs throughout the New Testament that proves that he's the Messiah, but this is just another one of them. 2, temptation is something that humans deal with. Being tempted by being tempted by Satan to do things against God. So the things that Jesus experienced in his life were similar to that which a human would experience. Because had he not experienced those things, it would make us as humans feel like, well, he's not as close to us. So the fact that he's experiencing temptation, he's experiencing betrayal, he's experiencing all kinds of suffering, just makes him feel even closer to us. Now, it says after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. The number 40 is in the Bible repeatedly. There's a few numbers like 7, 3, and 40. And I've been actually writing these down lately because they're significant, the numbers that God uses. I've noticed that God uses 40 days and 40 nights for Christ in his fast. Fasting usually means that there's a transition of something. You're fasting for either a transition of something or for answers, for guidance. All of it is movement. Like, you need to be guided on where to go, what to do next. There's a lot of different reasons that you could fast, but it represents transition. And when the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years, that's transition into what was promised to them by God. It rained. It was flooded for 40 days and 40 nights. It rained. And those were the days of Noah. That's transition. So I just find it really significant that God uses 40 for all 3 of those. Now, when Satan says, hey, you should just, what does he ask him to do? Throw yourself down. Basically, like, jump off of this. God will save you. Jesus says, you shouldn't put God to the test. Notice how Satan wanted him to like just simply sin. He just wanted to make Christ look faulty. He wanted him to look like a counterfeit. Because then no one would believe. So that's the reason why I said, number one, it's just another set of proof that Christ is the Messiah. The devil will try to do the same thing to you. We can use stories like these to learn about how the enemy works. It is important for you to know how the enemy works. I know that we hear a lot like you shouldn't focus on Satan, like just focus on God. You're right, we shouldn't be focused on him. If you're fighting in a war, you're not going to be focused on the enemy. You're going to be focused on how to defeat the enemy. Now, for us as Christians, we're not fighting. God is fighting for us. However, a part of our duty in the fight is to run from temptation and to learn when it's coming. And you can't do that unless you know how your enemy is working. How are you going to fight against anything or stay away from anything? Watch out for anything if you don't even know what it looks like. So you should at the very least learn how he works. So verse 12, now when he heard that John had been arrested, he withdrew from into Galilee, and leaving Nazareth, he went and lived in Capernaum by the sea, in the territory Zebulun and Naphtali, so that what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah might be fulfilled. So he's fulfilling prophecy once again. The land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people dwelling in darkness have seen a great light, and for those dwelling in the region in the shadow of death, on them a light has dawned. From that time Jesus began to preach, saying, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Verse 18, while walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, I will make you fishers of men. And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James the son of Zebedee and John his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left the boat, and their father followed him. And he went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction among the people. So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains, those oppressed by demons, and those having seizures and paralytics, he healed them. And great crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis, from Jerusalem and Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. Can you imagine? Someone comes up to you and says, hey, follow me. And you just drop everything and follow him. Honestly, I have questions, because this is all it gives us. I just want to know, I know it says that he was preaching. It says, from that time, Jesus began to preach, saying, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And then it says, while walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers. So it's not saying that they heard that sermon that he was preaching. It just says he was walking by the Sea of Galilee and told them, hey, follow me. And they just dropped everything and literally just left what they were doing in their lives and started following him. And I don't mean just they were following him physically. Like, they literally left their lives and just followed Christ from here on out. Like, that is wild. That is wild. That's another sign, though, that he is who he says he is. So we'll do chapter 5 in the next video.